Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. Hey, if you like all things true crime related from that police detective's perspective, you're in the right spot. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and Mr. Morocco, who's ready to come home. Ed Wallace, when he goes live or upload another video, we do it together. Hey, today we're going to get into Rex Heuerman, Long Island serial killer. What happened in his basement, a CSI Detectives analysis. Ed Wallace, we're going to get into the crime scenes out in Manorville and the extended amount of time that this case took to develop, and the forensics aspect of it, and how much of this evidence can be usable. And we see that quite a bit of it can be usable 20, 30 years later. I don't even know if there's a time limit on these things. But Ed, before we get into all of that, how are you doing? When the hell are you coming home?
Coming home Tuesday. Can't come fast enough.
Yeah, you seem tired, my friend. And you know what? That was a long mission of Army training over there in Morocco. And I think that Ed Wallace needs to be back here on U.S. soil. So we're looking forward to you returning home. But we want to say thank you to you, our live audience, the moderators, the replay viewers, the super chatters, the Patreon. Heck, Ed, we've been getting a lot of cups of coffee. I don't know about you, but I feel very caffeinated. So thank you to everyone who supports us. And you know, the memberships, and Jesselyn Cruz became a new member before this thing went live. And Rosemary, a member for 8 months, she says, best content on YouTube. Look at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Yeah. Ed, I wanted to jump right into the fire with you. And, you know, everybody's been going over the bail application, as they say in Suffolk County. It's really a new amended indictments and new charges against him. But however you want to refer to it, there is so much details and so many pages. We don't want to waste time reading these pages, but you know, from a CSI expert's perspective, these crime scenes out in Manorville and out towards the North Sea, what do you take from, you know, hairs, and you talk about all kinds of different DNA and so forth left behind by Rex Heuerman? What's your take on this thing? And Locard's exchange principle, it always comes into play. It comes back into play, no matter how smart you want to be as a criminal, right, Ed?
Well, yep, absolutely it does. But what I take away from this is he's toast. He did it. They got him dead to rights. He even though he read up on these books and he put together these lists of how to potentially protect himself from leaving these trace evidence, such as hairs and fibers and DNA, he did. Okay. And they nailed him on it. 1993 was that one of those homicides, right? And you got his hair, you got hair from his roommate. They did the mitochondrial. They got the ID from the mitochondrial. Then they went back and did the SNAP DNA. So single nucleotide polymorphism, bam, got him on cellular nuclear DNA. So he is toast. That whole litany that he wrote about, how to do things and what to do and what equipment to get and everything. So, I mean, he his defense attorney can deny this all he wants, but he's guilty of sin. And he did, I'm thinking now, he did all those other women. He did them all. The baby, the man, he did them all.
And, you know, and I can go one step further with you, Ed. And of course, I fully agree. But I really feel like there could be many, many more. Like, God only knows how many engagements he had when he traveled to Las Vegas, when he traveled to his other properties that he had. And that's the scary part, is that these monsters, they don't stop when they travel, whether they're traveling in the United States or outside of the country. Has Rex Heuerman murdered women outside of the country? That's a very strong possibility.
They got to nail down all of his travel. They got to nail down all of his wife and kids' travel, because he did these homicides, it appears now, in his house, in the basement. Okay. He talks about having to put up curtains and everything to get in the sound and he talked about, making torture devices that he can bound his victims and hang them from the ceiling in the basement. So and his porn searches and his porn activity, this is one sick puppy.
And I keep saying this, Ed, and I have to go back to this because Mr. Ed Wallace here, my brother from another mother, my co-host, he said on our very second live stream when we covered this Long Island serial killer, he said that, and you went out on a limb on this, but I feel that you really knew what you were talking about, because you said, I guarantee you, and this was the Gilgo 3, not even the Gilgo 4. It was his 3 homicides that he was charged with. You said, Ron, and you said it to our audience, you looked at the camera and you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he started out dismembering and then dropped it because of the exhaustive measures that it takes to dismember a human body and the effort that it takes and the time that it takes. Ed, do you want to just talk to our audience a little bit about your thought process as you spoke about that way back when we first started covering this?
Yeah, I mean, given the location of where these bodies are being found and their proximity, and the fact that he's a hunter and these locations are known for duck hunting and deer hunting and so forth, and that he knew them and he traversed them, it was very easy to say, okay, he started off this way, and look at him. He's a big hulking guy. He probably is out of shape, and he was very difficult to do a lot of these things, cutting up these bodies and dismembering, taking their head off, taking their limbs, so they couldn't identify them, destroying tattoos so they couldn't identify them. It's all in his notes. So this takes a lot of time, effort, and, and if he's out of shape, he's going to be huffing and puffing, and then he's got to clean it all up. Right. And he realized this is too much. So it would be easier just to wrap them up and dump them.
Yeah. And Young Black Economist says it well. The org, he was an ogre and described by. A lot of people ask this question, Ed, how did this whole thing start? How did they get a fresh start onto Rex Heuerman? And it was one of his last victims. It was the boyfriend / pimp, whatever you want to refer to him as. He got eyes on him. And Ed, you highlighted that too on our live stream. He had eyes on him and his size, and he mentioned him in
the vehicle.
In that vehicle, the actual color of the vehicle. And the Suffolk County Police had him dead to rights. But unfortunately, Dirty James Burke was in charge at that time. And he suppressed this investigation. Shame on him. He should be locked up. And I would hope that the DA looks to charge him with some type of obstruction of justice while he was on duty as a police executive. But at the end of the day, you look at the sheer size of this guy, it's almost impossible for him to, walk around in society and not be noticed because of his sheer size. So
between the DNA and the electronic evidence, the digital evidence that they're pulling out of here, there's no way he's going to overcome this in trial. There's just no way. Okay. Yeah. It would be nice if they can link these victims' blood in his basement or his storage facility, or even his vehicle, if they could have linked them in there somehow. But they haven't been able to. His computer searches after he killed was spotted there, shows him searching for a new car, another new truck, and then he gives his old truck to his brother because his truck was spotted, and he's following the case in the newspapers, and they got all his search histories, even though he tried to delete it. He's not getting out from underneath this. He should just take a plea right now.
Yeah, I mean, we feel that way because of the overwhelming amount of evidence against him in his home. I mean, I have the listing here. It's too long to list the items. 46 new cellular Wi-Fi devices, SD cards, tablets, USB drives. I mean, it goes on and on. Let's listen to this piece, Ed, while we talk with our audience. And we're going to take questions at the end of this. So hold your questions, Ed, hashtag DutyRon. At the end of this session, at 15 minutes, we're going to give the audience a chance to ask us questions as it pertains to Rex Heuerman and all of these murders that he is charged with. We're going to take your questions and we're going to respond to them.
One murder is obviously horrific, and it's a difficult thing to defend. Now we're at 6.
17 years of terror on Long Island. 2 new victims added to the suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer's hit list. The chilling evidence investigators now say they've uncovered. That is where we begin tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm Natalie Pasquarello.
And I'm Chuck Scarborough. Disturbing and shocking new twist in the Gilgo Beach murders. The 60-year-old New York architect, already accused of killing 4 women, is now accused of killing 2 more.
Jessica Taylor and Sandra Castilla, the latest victims. Castilla not publicly associated with this case until now. Her murder extends the timeline of brutal Long Island killings all the way back to 1993. The last known victim of the Gilgo serial killer disappeared in 2010.
Police revealed morbid new details today of the alleged serial killer's meticulous planning, including making lists of potential problems that could trip him up and how effectively to dispose of his victims.
Ed, were you surprised when you saw this list of, we're going to open up this list and go down and talk about them, but did this come as a surprise to you? I know you're in Morocco and you time change, time difference, but when you first watched this, what were your thoughts when you saw that he had these lists on a drive that he tried to, delete, and they brought back those unallocated files by computer forensic experts?
Yeah, this is not the first time I've seen lists like this. The Santa and Kenneth Kimes case, where the mother and son con artists killed Mrs. Silverman in Manhattan. Yeah. I found similar lists of, rope, shower curtain, gloves, surveillance, get the social security number, all the surveillance they were doing on it. Same thing. I found all these meticulous notes about their plans for killing her and for killing David Kasdan out in Los Angeles, to steal their properties. And so it's not the first time I've seen this. I know people do this all the time. And so, but, he's the serial killer. And for that matter, though, so were the Kimes. They killed many people.
Multiple people. And this is probably not the first, and it won't be the last that we see this. Mm-hmm. These evil monsters, they walk amongst us in society. And some of the people ask questions, like a lot of times people will say to me, DutyRon, why do you always carry your weapon with you? Why are you always on watch? Why are you always on guard? Because we have an inside look. What some people don't realize is, us, folks that are in law enforcement, men and women, we get to see evil like this right up close and right in front of us. And once you see something like this, and forget about just watching it, and watching it should be an eye-opener to everybody, to keep your head on a swivel. You say, stay safe, stay prepared, watch your 6. That applies to everybody. And people like this are walking amongst us.
Yeah, and we know the deal. All cops are hyper vigilant, right? And so you rather have the gun and not need it than need it and not have it.
Amen to that, brother. I want to thank everyone that's live in the chat. We're going to send out some memberships. Make sure if you want a free membership, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up on the video right now, and put a number 1 in the chat. I'm going to try to send out as a gift from Ed Wallace and myself 10 memberships, 10 free memberships, and you get to see some of our exclusive membership benefits. So I hope you guys, and congratulations, I hope you guys win, and looking forward to seeing you guys on the membership lives.
Today of the alleged serial killer's meticulous planning, including making lists of potential problems that could trip him up and how effectively to dispose of his victims. This was Greg Sergelis live in Riverhead with all of this for us. Greg?
Chuck, Natalie, as you guys pointed out, this murder investigation has taken some turns over the last couple of months, with new police searches at Rex Heuerman's home and in the woods of Manorville. Today, prosecutors revealed why those searches were ordered. It's all the result of an unexpected discovery that has changed the direction of this case. Alleged serial killer Rex Heuerman stood silently in court today as prosecutors told a judge they had discovered a chilling computer document. Suffolk's DA called it Rex Heuerman's blueprint for murder.
His intent was...
And I don't even like to keep stopping this thing, but were these some of the items that he was getting off of the readings of those the books that he had and so forth that they vouchered in this investigation?
That's some of them, yes. But the others will come up where they'll actually list the pages that he took the information from.
Wow.
Okay. So, I mean, look what he's talking there. He's got supplies. He's talking about dumping locations. He's talking about, and dump sites. He's talking about truck stops, police stops. And, he's talking about all kinds of PPE and things to bind people with. And he's taking photographs, hair nets. You can see it, saw, cutting tools. So he's going to dismember these people, rope and cord, police scanner to listen, lye and acid. So he's talking about getting a base and getting an acid. What is he? He's melting victims,
body parts or the part.
Yeah.
I look at this first column with the DNA, the tire mark. How many times have we talked about all of this? Tire marks, DNA, blood stains, fingerprints, MO bag and plastic, cat litter. I mean, cat litter. Where the hell is cat litter coming into this? Trace source.
To soak up the blood.
Yeah, there you go. I led you into that one, Ed.
You're my straight man.
Foot and shoe prints, photographs, misleaders, police stops. He thought of all of this stuff. This takes time to sit and compile lists of this stuff and study it. I mean, his spelling sucked in a lot of his writings, but man, this guy was a killing machine. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is double digits, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more people that he could potentially be responsible for their deaths, unsolved crimes.
You got to check the dates when his family was away from the house, because he started this. We don't know exactly when he started, but the earliest one so far is 1993. Right? Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, 93.
All right. So he's been a busy serial killer, and they just don't turn off a switch and they're done with this. All right.
Yeah. It's this is like unraveling, and I'll put us back on for a second. This is unraveling as the days go by, because all of these documented items, these electronic items. I mean, he had a Palm Pilot. I mean, I had a Palm Pilot, and I thought it was the most coolest. I was like the first bit of technology where you can have a little scrolling it had like a little pen that you wrote on the screen, and it was so unique. But he put stuff on his Palm Pilot and then deleted it. And thank God Secret Service and some of our computer crimes experts, Suffolk County, reached out to. And what I like about what they're doing here is they're not ashamed to say we utilize the full resources available to us, the state police, the FBI, the Secret Service. They're throwing a kitchen sink at this thing, and I think that they need to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. He's going down. Okay. Oh, yeah. He's not getting out from underneath this.
No, absolutely not.
These are his hard drives. These are his electronics recovered in his house. Okay. And on those hard drives is all this information about his planning. Now you can see here that this, has his initials there. He's from 2002 to 2004. There are other ones that date before this.
Right.
You got to look at his porn activity. You can associate, his porn activity to when he was doing this, the porn activity, and when the family's out of the house.
Right. And Wolf puts on the screen. Imagine the videos Rex may have took. I mean,
yeah. And there's talk that they recovered video.
Yeah. Anything is possible here, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think, I hate to say this, but I don't think it's out of this world to think that Rex Heuerman kept some of these poor victims captive for multiple days, right, Ed?
Yeah. So you have your titles here: problems, supplies, and this is the locations to dump the body, right? Dump sites, and this is the victims here. Now, I'd like to know who target number one, Megan. Who the hell's Megan?
Megan Waterman.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Small is good. He went
Right.
after all these small, petite girls.
Right. Because that came out of the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Make it easy. Make it so you can dispose.
So the FBI agent was a behavioral profiler. He was in the behavioral science unit at the FBI in Quantico as a profiler. So he wrote this book about the profiles he did on serial killers. And so Rex was studying this book, plus he was studying other books. And then apparently his wife was looking at that horrific death book while he's in jail. Something's up with that too. I don't think she's free and clear of any of this.
I'm not a fan of our sailor up, and I have to say this, you're living under the roof there. If you are disgusted by the allegations of your husband, or if you're saying that your husband is not capable of this, why do you have on your kitchen table a book like that? Things that make you go home. It's not helping her situation, and profiting off of the death and destruction and dismemberment now that her husband is alleged to have done. Profiting off of that is a vile extra step that makes her, in my eyes, and listen, we're all entitled to our opinions. You could tell me you feel I'm wrong. You can tell me you agree with me. You can tell me that, whatever. But my opinion, and I'm sure, Ed, you mirror this with me, that is a new level of despicable behavior, in my opinion. Profiting off of death and dismemberment of young women just takes it to a new level. It's horrific.
So this gives us more insight as to why they went back, right? They recovered these files. Now, in the files, he talks about hanging shower curtains or some kind of curtains like that, and that he used duct tape. And he said going in the future, he wasn't going to use duct tape anymore, that he was going to use some kind of mechanical devices to hang the shower curtains around the area where he was going to torture and bind and kill his victims, where he made a table and the table needed extra support. All this stuff is in there in his own writing. Okay. So.
Yeah. I mean,
they probably go back and look for all of these things, and then they're going to look for those recovered. And then he cites pages from an unknown book, but they found that book, and it's like he's taking passages out of that book verbatim, and he's listing the page number.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is just over the top with planning, and this might also be part of his it goes right in line with his sexual fantasies of the playing. He talked about get good sleep so you can play. Like,
right.
This guy,
more playtime.
Despicable. Let's listen to this, and then we'll pull up all of the stuff off the documents of the probable cause affidavit.
Suffolk's DA called it Rex Heuerman's blueprint for murder.
His intent was specifically to locate these victims, to hunt them down, and to bring them under his control and to kill them.
The DA says the actual Gilgo murders match to a large degree what's written in that document. It was found on a Heuerman laptop after prosecutors say he tried to delete it. One note there reads, more sleep and noise control equals more playtime.
Horrifying to even read that, because I immediately think of what he did and what happened to these poor victims, probably in his basement, in that where they got those 177 plus weapons out of that, they call it a gun room or whatever, gun safe, and then a sub room in that basement. Ed, I mean, I can't.
He's probably going to plead insanity, and he's going to have claim some mother issues, or he was abused by his mom or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised, Ed. And you heard it here first from the mouth of Ed Wallace. That could be a potential, plea that he, puts in with his attorney. Because look, Michael Brown, his attorney, is going on the circuit. I'm going to put us back on for this because it was disturbing to me. And let me know, and Ed, let us both know if you saw this. Michael Brown, the attorney representing this monster, was on Court TV. On, I believe it was Court TV or Law and Crime, one or the other. I think it was Court TV. Michael Brown was giving play-by-play on the Suitcase murderer, the woman who put her boyfriend in the suitcase and got drunk and fell asleep. He was giving an hour-long commentary on that case, like he was a legal analysis, giving legal analysis on Court TV. I saw it and I freaked out. I was like, wait a minute. This guy is representing Rex Heuerman in one of the arguably the biggest case that Long Island has ever seen, New York's ever seen, and probably the country, one of the largest cases. And he's on freaking a TV show giving commentary on the Suitcase murder trial. I don't know. Sarah Boone. Thank you, Emily. Things that make you go, Anybody see it? Because I told you about it, Ed. I know you didn't see it.
Yeah.
I told you about it when
I know the case, though. I know the case.
Of course. Yeah, we've all seen the case, and we saw the body cam footage from that. She's playing around with her public defenders and saying that she's not on the same page with them, and she's firing them. And and Michael Brown is on there giving legal commentary and saying, well, she's going to either have to represent herself or the judge is going to have to squeeze her. Like, I'm like, what? I mean, oh my God, it is terrible. It's crazy.
So Skunkworks wanted to know if we have the death penalty in New York. No, we do not.
It was on the books when Governor George Pataki was in control, and that was in 1996, I believe. And then shortly thereafter, it was taken off the table once a new governor came in. So George Pataki reinstituted the death penalty in 1996, but it hasn't been on the table since our governors do not back that. Go ahead.
I had two death penalty eligible cases, one in Queens and one in Manhattan. The one in Manhattan was the murder of police officer Anthony Sanchez in the 13th precinct. And Morgenthau was a coward and wouldn't go for it. We got the conviction. He went in and he ended up dying in prison of AIDS. And then the other one was out in Queens. It was a horrific multiple homicide. And he represented himself at trial, and he cross-examined me on the stand. And there was a set of twins, and they were innocent victims to this thing. And he killed one of them survived. And the father of the twins was a Baptist minister, I believe. And so he told the district attorney that he did not want the death penalty and that he forgave this murderer. But it should still be on the books. It really should, But listen, in the state of our district attorneys these days, they would never pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's a big problem, and we saw it with Kevin Gillespie, the murder of police officer Kevin Gillespie. The district attorney Robert Johnston didn't want to go forward with prosecuting under the death penalty, and George Pataki was the governor. At that time, he put in Attorney General Dennis Vacco to prosecute that case. But in cowardly fashion, police officer Kevin Gillespie, and I have his shield as my detective shield, 4503. There it is. Police officer Kevin Gillespie, 4503. The defendant, the perp who killed police officer Kevin Gillespie, hung himself in jail. And I took that call from the corrections captain that night, and he saved
Anthony Diaz.
Yeah, and Angel Diaz, I believe his name was.
Angel, right? And I had the crime scene.
Yeah. So when I got that call, my next call was to his widow, and it saved them decades of appeals and so forth. But I don't even know if they would have, if he didn't kill himself, hang himself in Rikers Island, if he would have been tried under the death penalty, because the change of the guard happened a little while after that. New governor, new set of rules. All right, let's let the rest of this play because we got a lot to cover here.
Sleep and noise control equals more playtime.
You've already made that assumption that he's the one who drafted it and he's the one who created it. I don't know that.
Heuerman's lawyer must now defend his client against 6 murder charges, the so-called Gilgo 4, and 2 other women identified in court today.
Jessica, my darling daughter, He will never be forgotten.
Lawyer Gloria Allred read a statement written by the mother of Jessica Taylor. Today, Rex Heuerman was charged with Taylor's 2003 murder and the 1993 murder of Sandra Castilla, a woman not previously linked to the Gilgo case. Prosecutors say strands of hair found with the bodies of each new victim have been tied to Heuerman through multiple DNA tests.
I can't express what this day means after waiting and hoping for answers.
Suffolk's DA said again today Rex Heuerman acted alone, and he confirmed that items taken from Heuerman's home last month are now being tested to determine if the murders were carried out there while Heuerman's family was away.
The investigation continues. The investigation has been expanded both to the bodies that were found on Gilgo and beyond.
The DA also said today that Rex Heuerman is now a suspect in the murder of another Gilgo victim, Valerie Mack.
And there's no question in our minds, Ed, that he will be charged with that murder of Valerie Mack.
They're just waiting on the evidence to come back.
Yeah.
I think there's more hairs here. See, despite your best effort to clean it up, despite all that planning and going out and buying all this stuff to protect the downstairs in your basement from blood and debris and your DNA and everything, you still left your DNA, you still left your hair, okay? And you left all this evidence on those computer hard drives, even though you thought you deleted it and then you bought software to wipe the hard drives clean. You know, maybe you should have reached out to Hillary Clinton and used her software.
Oh, my. I got that reference. So here we are, this current day and age where there's unbelievable amount of science and computer forensics involved in this investigation, because without this, we can argue that he would have gotten away with this if we did not have advanced DNA and computer forensics available to us. So we have to be thankful that this stuff can be and people ask us all the time. I get a ton of messages on the website. How can this evidence still be good enough to present in court? And that's what I want you to talk a little bit about here, Ed, is that, you know, do these hairs that they talk about, do some of this evidence degrade over 20, 30-year periods, 10-year periods? How does this all work? And how are they able to now bring this back into the court of law as they charge him in Suffolk County Court in Riverhead?
Now, these hairs were recovered at the time of these bodies recovery. So 1993 hair, and then the other one was much later. It was 8 years later or something, something to that effect. But anyhow, they were properly collected and preserved. There, you know, there was at that time, 1993, mitochondrial DNA wasn't even being used. Okay, in 1993, we were at the OJ trial, right? What year was that? We were doing.
It was in the 90s. I'm not exactly sure if it was 92, 93, but yeah, that was that time frame.
Okay, so back then we were doing RFLP, restricted fragmented length polymorphism, and you needed like a size of blood. I guess about the size of this hole that I'm making here, about that big. Okay, and then later on, PCR came out, polymerized chain reaction, and then you needed less. Then short tandem repeats, and then you needed less. And now, then mitochondrial came out, and they figured out that if you didn't have the root of the hair, and at that time, and all you had was a shaft of hair, that you could get the mother's DNA, and then it goes to a low copy number for the nuclear DNA, and now SNAP DNA, singular nucleotide polymorphism. And now you can get a full genetic profile from the hair without a root. So yeah, this is the forensics evolves, the technology evolves, things are getting better and better. You'll be able to extract genetic materials from touch DNA, from simply touching something, and now your DNA is found. Just like the other day, we did the thermal imaging. You reposted the training there, and then you touched the wall, and then you removed your hand, and then I showed your hand still, the appearance of your hand because of the thermal image that you left behind. And so now I know that you touched that wall. I swab it. I search it for fingerprints. I got you.
You got me. And Ed, and for those of you who don't know what Ed's talking about, I came up to Rockland County where he was doing forensic training with a bunch of different agencies up there. I actually went up and I did some filming, and Ed had me on camera put my hand on a concrete wall. It was, I think it was like, it looked like it was just cinder block walls in that facility. I put my handprint on there. I removed it. And then Ed immediately went and recovered my whole handprint on that wall. And once you recover that and secure it, you're toast. You can't say that you weren't there, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Skunk Work is asking a lot of great questions today. So here is trace transfer evidence. So, I mean, you know, if you live in that environment, just like they found in this case, they found his former female roommate, who is listed as witness number 3, I believe, on
I think it was his ex-wife. I think it was his ex-wife. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they called her what? Didn't they call her roommate number 3 or witness number 3? Yeah,
witness number.
And yeah, so they found her hair on those victims too. So you know, the average human loses 75 head hairs a day, and you know, so it's going to get everywhere. You know, and then eventually, you know, he's doing all this work, and she has access to it, or it's on his clothes. It transfers. It's all the Lecard's exchange principle. It falls off his clothes while he's doing the cleanup here of these bodies. He wraps them up, and boom, it's in there with them.
Lori Lee says, Ed Wallace, you're so much better than Kojak. So knowledgeable. We would love to sit in on one of your training classes. Love from Scotland. Well, guess what?
Hey, I need a lollipop and turn around and say, who loves you, baby?
Who loves you, baby? But Ed, let's talk about Rex Heuerman's home. They were looking and removing paneling from in the basement there because of the writings that we see in this bail document. What could they get some 20, arguably or more years later? What could they be getting from that cluttered? And they're being nice by saying cluttered. These people are hoarders. They have everything stacked up and piled all over the place. Doesn't get cleaned on a regular basis. With all the dust and mold and mildew in a basement can accumulate, what, if anything, are they going to be able to get evidentiary-wise from, and I'm sure our people that are watching want to know answers to this question. And Ed, who better but you to answer it? What could they get all those years later?
Well, look, you know, he used to use duct tape on some portions of the ceiling and whatever is supporting it down there. I don't know if there is even sheetrock on the ceiling. I don't know. But he used to use duct tape. So that tape residue can still be there. The glue can still be there. Plus, then he changed in his notes. It says he changed from that to some kind of snap system. So if that's there, it corroborates the information inside of the notes that we just got out of that computer file, the hard drive. Then, you know, despite people's best efforts, including his, you know, because he had all that list together, he could be leaving blood down there. It could still be there, in some crevice someplace, or in some shelving, or on some box that's stored down there. Number of different things could still be there. And the victim's hairs could still be there, especially if he dismembered them.
Right. And we hear about him decapitating our victim here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is very sensitive. Again, if you suffer from PTSD, this is the part that we're going to get into, talking about dismemberment. Jessica Taylor was decapitated. Her hands and arms were removed at the elbow. And they were found, her torso was found face up, lying on a surgical sheet, a surgical dressing, or a tarp, or whatever you want to call it, and her other remains washed up along Gilgo Beach, down along where the Gilgo 4 were recovered, that we have in this case. So when you're doing activity like that, I don't care how, unless he was covered in full PPE and packaged everything up meticulously and got rid of it. And obviously he made mistakes. We rely on dumb criminals to make stupid mistakes. He obviously made mistakes in this situation, but is he going to take some of that matter back into his home, or did in fact he decapitate her in that basement in that home and then drive her all the way out to Suffolk County? We don't know. Those are the questions.
Well,
yeah.
He has two possible locations where he could have done this. The house, because there was no one home and there was no one to disturb him and he had all the privacy he needed, or the storage facility. Okay. Another place that he had all the time in the world and no one's going to disturb him inside of his storage locker. Okay. So those are the two places. And they went there, and both places they've had the ME show up. Now, again, why the ME come? What did they find? Okay. We won't know that until later when they have to get the list together for the judge for what they took out of that house.
Yeah. So here, did you put this question up from Katrina?
Yeah, Katrina. Rex was concerned about this because he researched this. He talks about this in his notes about being organized and disorganized, right? So he was organized.
Let's talk about Sandra Castilla. She was mutilated. It looks like there was no dismemberment, but she was mutilated. There was multiple. She had her shirt pulled up over her torso and her head, exposing her breasts. And the victim had numerous sharp force injuries to her face, torso, breasts, left thigh, and vaginal area. He talks about in his writings to clean the orifices. And again, I apologize to ladies and gentlemen that are in the chat. This is, again, tough. This is a tough conversation to have, but it has to be had. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, we have a thing in forensic psychology. It's called overkill. When you mutilate a body to that extent, stabbing in the face multiple times to the point that you can't recognize the face, or stabbing in other parts of the body and so forth. Stabbing is a very sexual attack. And they'll tell you that it's usually there's a relationship, there's rage, and then there's parts of this attack where the killer can become disorganized. Okay. And then after so many stab wounds, they start to come back to their senses. And then you look for what we call as a circular stab pattern around all of the overkill areas. And if you hey there, Popeye is busy. And if you see that means that originally the killer was in rage and became disorganized and then comes back to being organized again.
Yeah. And thank you for that explanation, Ed. And again, Ed Wallace is a senior crime scene investigator. He's got over 2,500 crime scenes he's processed or under his belt. And he's an expert witness as well and testifies in court of law. And he's seen this stuff and has been there. This is as it pertains to Sandra Castilla. And it just goes over some of the forensics. She stated her body was examined by a forensic scientist with SCCL, which led. So what is that?
Suffolk County Crime Lab.
Okay, good. From the Suffolk County Crime Lab, which led to the recovery. And then they go into, descriptions here. But again, many people have read this, and I know our good friend, Attorney Melanie Little, went over this on Friday night. I don't think it's necessary for us to go over all of these gory details, but it's important for us to discuss the forensics and how they package this and put this all together, and they discuss it in all of this writing here.
Yeah. So they got both mitochondrial DNA for Rex on these two victims. And on one of the victims, they have a combination of Rex and his roommate. And the roommate is also mitochondrial and nuclear DNA.
They talk about it right here, highlighted as witness number 3. And folks are talking about this in some of the spaces. Is she, or has she been questioned and investigated? Does she have any doing in this crime, Ed? And
it's listed there that roommate was out of the house at the time or away someplace, and then the other death, she wasn't no longer living there.
Right. But I'm saying, people are arguing back and forth like, hey, was she interviewed and interrogated? Well, guess what? Yes, I'm sure that she was interviewed and if need be interrogated, but I would think that she definitely was interviewed and they checked her off the list just the same way most of us can't have a hard time accepting it, but checking Asa Eller up off the list. The district attorney said it again at the press conference, Ed. He said
Yeah,
she is not a suspect or involved in any of this. And her attorney went on live TV and reiterated that to the general public. So interesting, but yet you have to respect that the investigators are doing their due diligence and looking into what they need to look into. All right, so where do you want me to go on this? Was it page 19 that we talked about? Here we are, Ed, before we were live. So
yeah, that's all the mitochondrial and DNA results from Castilla and Rex. So go back to the computer list. That's where all the juicy stuff is.
Is it back here or is it forward?
Forward.
Okay.
Those phone records. There it is, right there. All right, and keep going down. There's the next one. Keep going. Go back.
I think it's up here. I saw the phone records over here.
Well, yeah, that's the phone records. Okay, and that his phone and the victim's phones were in Manhattan at the same time.
Right.
All of that is connected. There's no way he's getting out from underneath this.
I mean, they really dotted their I's and crossed their T's with all of this. This is his date. This is planner. Wife in Vermont at Smugs. All of the stuff he documented in his day planner.
Right. And the phone records from his office in New York, and then phone from his cellular phone in Massapequa. They have his locations. They know where he was. Right here. There. Okay. So DS, right? DS is his victims.
Well, okay, here, right here.
Yeah. Go back.
Is this what you wanted?
No, go just a little further up. Keep coming. Yeah. Keep going that way. Okay, stop. Yeah. So we saw all of this, right? And so those are his targets. T1.
Target 1, Megan Waterman.
Target there, unknown, and in parentheses, black. So, and keep going. Let's get to the next one. Problems. Yeah, we did the problems. Okay. Dumpster site. Next time, recon dumpster locations. Okay.
Target 1, Megan, small is good. Target unknown, black. This guy is diabolical. I mean, wow.
DS 1 Mill Road.
Right. And those are locations that all tie into this thing. I wonder what his neighbor, the retired fireman, remember we highlighted him and he was saying, I hope he's not involved for the kids' sake. If they were in there last year in 2023 and they didn't find anything, why are they back here? Remember that interview with him? I wonder what he has to say about that. That's his next door neighbor that he had problems with him.
Hey, Tiff Knox, the T, I believe, stands for target unknown. But here, okay, let's look at this. Pre-prep, vehicle inspection. Okay, make sure the vehicle is clean, no hairs and fibers, no DNA. Engage target 1, recon dump site 1, locate dump site 2, weather report, right? Recon video cameras, recon pickup zone for video cameras. So wherever he's picking up the prostitutes, recon that area for video cameras that may capture him. Recon video cameras by the dump sites. Set up holding area, build table with a crossbar, for extra support and weight. And then he needed that hard point in the ceiling to hang the rope down, okay, so that he can suspend his victim in the air in the bondage ties.
Some people got caught up on that hard point. But right. Yeah, as you described, he's hanging potential victims maybe by arms, by legs.
Right. he's suspending them in air. So he needs a hard point that he can, put in a heavy duty bolt in there to hold the rope that would support the weight of his victims. Post-event, destroy file, change tires, burn gloves, dispose of pics. So he took pictures. Okay. So I hope they can pull all these pictures from his devices.
Right.
And then have a story set.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all premeditation, right? This is all premeditation and
Right.
So,
I just want to highlight the Catch Lisk is in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your input. I mean, I would love to have them on as a guest, because they have been covering this case for a long, long time and have unbelievable amounts of information and stuff that they've compiled as well. But yeah, I'd love to have them on as a guest with us one day, Ed. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, sure. This goes to his MO, and it goes to his planning and premeditation of the acts that he was committing.
Yeah, recon.
So this is the organized killer here, because the disorganized don't plan like this.
Yeah, and that's the funny part, is that you could be as prepared as anything, and here in these readings and these documents, you'd think, holy shit, how did this guy get caught? I think the reason he didn't get caught is James Burke. The reason he wasn't caught sooner is James Burke. And people might say, that's pretty harsh, Ron. That's pretty harsh for you to say blame one guy. But you and I know, Ed, how executives can run an investigation. We worked for the police department, right? Not Suffolk County, but we worked for the largest metropolitan police department in the United States, the NYPD. And if you had a chief tell you, hey kid, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're not going to do, if you went back to him and said, hey, no, I'm doing it my way, you're off the case. Your ass is off the case, or maybe even suspended. So James Burke had that power and authority to suppress. He was responsible, and this isn't even a dispute. He was responsible for throwing the FBI out of the investigation. Why? Yeah. Because they were getting fucking close. I mean,
but see, we're all by law. We're all by law supposed to disregard an unlawful order. Okay, if it's an unlawful order, that person, given the order, is committing a crime, and if you follow that order, you're committing a crime.
Right?
Okay. So,
but what I'm saying is that I know that is, of course, that's by the book. But how many of these instances, as we see right here in this humongous case, they could have gotten Rex Heuerman based off of that description that was given, I think, in West Babylon or wherever it was, that last where the ruse was committed, right? Where they took his $1,500. The guy came out and said, hey, that's my girlfriend. What are you doing? And he got kicked out of there. And then he called back and he texted back with the victim and said, hey, that was not nice. I'm going to give you another chance. And then the next chance, God only knows what he did with her, torture wise or, whatever. She wasn't dismembered. She was part of the Gilgo 3, Gilgo 4, but this case could have been solved right then and there based on that witness, the guy with the red hair. I forgot his name, but man, James Burke was in charge, ladies and gentlemen, at that time. So what do you got up, Mr. Wallace?
So Olive Green asked, do they track the purchases of lye and acid like they do fertilizer? Well, first of all, they don't track fertilizer anymore. They used to put tangents in it that were UV reactive and had serial numbers. So they don't do that anymore. And they definitely don't track acids and lye.
Yeah. EV323 says the book about Burke is eye-opening. Jimmy the King, listen to it on Audible. Thank you. And thank you for gifting memberships. And I'm glad to see your daughter is back to posting on Instagram. It's always great to see her back up and going. Catch Lisk is engaging with our audience. Thank you for Catch Lisk for being here. We greatly appreciate you. Dirty Burke is next, says Joey Brooklyn. Listen, we also saw Rex Heuerman in his writings here, Ed, talking about use cash for gas. he probably made cash purchases on all of these items that he used to dispose of his victims and torture. If he used a credit card, that would leave a paper trail. And I don't think that he was, as per these writings, going to be that stupid to do that. Britt says Rex is bisexual. So think of the male victims that might be out there. Yeah.
We already got one. We got an unidentified male Asian
male.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is what Rex is hearing in his jail cell.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
They came for him. They got him. The good guys got him. Thank God for Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and the entire task force. All right. Recon reports, video cams on. He really got detailed. The video.
Yeah, look, Route 112 is out by my sister.
Yeah.
Out in Medford Quorum.
Yeah.
Okay. That's way out there. Exit 64.
Right. And Route 110, if he's talking about 110 and which is Huntington, the quadrangle over there.
Yeah.
112 is further out east, and he makes it equaling the old 33. Video cams on the Southern State. I know where 231. That's by by the cemeteries. Exit 30 and 10 equals old. I mean, this dude really put some
Target one info. So there's cell phone numbers here, beepers and voicemail. So please don't be calling these numbers, folks.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Don't be that.
Don't be doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. They should have redacted that, but
they I think they left it up for a reason, and they mentioned it. But we're not. That's not what this video is about. Take down and pick up. Boom, hunt too long, see in an area too long. Remember, don't charge gas. This is where he talks about the cash. Recon for video cams in pickup area next time. So he's scoping out his potential victims in the areas that they street walk. And he's talking about potential recon for video cams in the areas so they don't see me picking her up.
Next time, because he's done it already, right? And now he's talking about the next time he does it.
Right. This is where
wash body inside all cavities, remove trace evidence, fingerprints, hair, remove trace DNA, remove ID marks, tattoos, which he did here, right? Remove the head and hands. There it is, right? Remove the marks from torture. Package for transport. Okay. So as I said, like he began doing all these horrific acts to these women, cutting them up, mutilating them. It became too much work, both to do and then to clean up afterwards, and then to dispose these parts all over the place, because now he's got to drive around in more than one location and dump these remains. So it gives him more chance to get caught. So he said, the hell with this going forward. He just wrap them up in the duck hunting burlap and dump them where he hunts.
Dispose of the following: tools and devices. And what does he mean by that, Ed? Tools and devices.
Yeah, his torture and implements and so forth.
Yep. So the tools and devices are the
clothes and personal items. Target one's clothes and personal items, drop cloths, wipes and towels, props, toys, and wood items.
Oof. Yeah, Ed, your internet's getting a little wonky, but the tools and devices, as he was trying to say there, I'm just going to take him off until he comes back. Hold on, he's frozen. Ed, hopefully he comes back. He's in Morocco, so tools and devices are obviously self-explanatory. These are the things that he used to either dismember, bludgeon, the knives, and so forth. This is everything that he talks about disposing. Target one's clothing and personal items, drop cloths. We heard about a surgical drop cloth. Some of the victims were found laying on top of props and toys and wood items. I mean, this guy is a sicko times 10. All right, Ed, you're back. You're back?
I'm back.
All right, good. Props and toys and wood items. That's where we let off.
Yeah, because he was using them as sex items. He was using that to penetrate women and hurt them with them. Anything that they touched anything that touched target one. All right.
Burn the gloves,
What
dispose.
you wore.
Yeah.
Serve a plastic bag. Dispose a box of plastic bags to avoid trace. Yes, I'm blaming it on the curtains, Gina.
Yeah.
Damn curtains.
Well, he's in Morocco, so internet could be wonky there. But essentially, in a nutshell, Ed, he was reading about how to dispose of crime scene evidence and everything to keep his crimes clean and not detected. But he made that mistake. The dumb criminal. All it takes is that one mistake. One of his hairs, one of the hairs from back at home. This is what makes us as investigators and everybody reading it believe that he did take some, if not all, of these victims to his home. And John Ray, our good friend, we've tried to get him on our show so many times, but he's so busy with everybody asking him. I mean, he can't be on everybody's show, and a lot of people have gotten him on his show. But John Ray has been an advocate for justice for all of these victims, I feel, even though he hasn't represented them all. I think that he is kept this case in the limelight by talking about it. And he talks about Karen Vergata going to Rex Heuerman's home with
being brought there from Manhattan by NYPD detective at the time and his girlfriend. Could you scroll down?
Yeah, sure.
Where's the part with the book pages that he was referencing the book? Oh, wait, hold on. Things to remember. Sound travels. Example, bird outside. Control the amount of air in and out of the noise made. Get sleep before hunt. Too tired creates problems.
Make a mistake.
Yeah, hit harder. Too many hits to take down. Consider a hit to the face or the neck next time for the takedown.
And this is how he's talking about how he incapacitated his victims or killed them killed them. There may have been in his modus operandi a part of him that wanted to incapacitate him so they would give him no resistance. So maybe he may be talking about here on how to knock him out and not to kill him, and then how to finish them off.
Okay, so there,
takedown.
Yeah, the takedown. There's the push pins instead of the duct tape, right? Don't use tape, use these push pins. So if they can find those push pin marks in wood or the sheetrock or whatever the case may be, use heavier rope. You can't spell heavy. For neck, light rope broke under stress of being tightened. So apparently one of his victims, the rope broke on her.
I got to say something. I want to just stop this for a second. I actually, a few times in readings of this stuff now, as we're live, have gotten like, somebody saw me fanning myself. I was getting like a mini panic attack talking about this because I was thinking about the victims and what the horror they must have gone through. And
that's right. The pain, the suffering, the torture, the being scared out of their mind.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So, I mean, if you're in the chat and you're feeling the same way, I mean, my advice would be maybe to kind of ease off of this kind of stuff. But this is the first time we're totally delving into it in a live stream, and we're running out of time. So, as set forth above, as embedded here below, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force members believe that these references to next time indicate Heuerman's prior experiences and what changes he is implementing moving forward. So Ed, do you want to take it here?
Yeah, so it says the takedown / pickup. Hunt too long, seen an area too long. Okay, that's part of the reason he took that brand new truck that he had just bought earlier. It was like about a year old, maybe thereabouts, and gave it to his brother. Went out and bought a new truck, and they have the search looking for the same truck but different color, so it doesn't come back to him.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And there's evidence that he went out and purchased a vehicle of a different color, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And then gave that truck to his brother, where it was eventually recovered down south.
So push pins in the ceiling, okay? So push pins to hang drop cloths.
No, do not use tape. Manifesting concerns regarding sound travel. This is a reference to incidents that would have occurred indoors and likely inside of the target residence.
Now, as an architect, he should know the standards for soundproofing rooms. I mean, it's in a book. We all have it. It's called Architectural Graphic Standards.
Yeah.
Okay. And there are certain materials that we use, you know, from music studios, recording studios, television studios, and on offices and things of that nature to deaden the sound for a particular room. He should have all of that information.
Yeah. Yep. I want to just highlight some of these super chats and new members. Thank you for becoming a new member. Rose Marie says, member 8 months, best content on YouTube. Web Weavers, member for 15 months, best collaboration on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. Emily, our very first channel member, first ever. As soon as the memberships were active, she was the first one. She gifted a membership. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for being a new member. Amber, thank you for becoming a member. Willow Wren says, most informative content. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Emily, a judge once said that of me on in trial.
I didn't see what it was.
Oh, she said Ed is a Renaissance man.
I happen to agree with her. Jeff Litweiler, the long arm of the law. Ed is CSI King. Thank you.
No, I was at the high school king, not the CSI King. That was somebody else.
Please, Ed, save it. Beamer 650, sister of Lexi, a member for 4 months. She says, hi, everyone. Make sure you thumb it up and share it out. Yes, we appreciate it if you thumb up the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. It's always sharing is caring. Virginia Martinez, thank you for the super sticker. Honey says Rex Heuerman had 2 places in Las Vegas, one for him and one for his family. Gee, I wonder why. Wonder why he needed a separate place. Though that room or condominium or whatever he owned, I think it was a timeshare.
Timeshare.
Unfortunately, those timeshares, now that makes us in the timeshare business, people who own them. I'm like, I don't think I want to go to my timeshare anymore because what if a Rex Heuerman type used it? Honey, thank you for the $5 super chat and that information. What do you got, Ed?
It said, it says, Carrier, your daddy will be home soon. And Oscar, your photo is so cuter. And yes, I miss my family. I miss my wife. I miss my dog and children. Not necessarily in that order.
Yeah. That was very good clarification, Ed. Thank you for gifting the memberships. I'm just trying to get to these highlighted ones. You and I sent out 10 memberships. Deborah Guzman, what a generous gesture. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships.
Thank you.
Courtney, 5. Thank you for the $1 super sticker. Much appreciated. Snarky Grumpkin. That's a cool screen name. Snarky Grumpkin. I thought he changed his MO because Bitroff got arrested, but that was 2014. What could the catalyst be for him changing MO so dramatically? ? Maybe dismembering equals more pieces LE potentially could find. Ed, I think you have a response to of why he stopped the dismembering. Thank you, Snarky.
Yeah, because he's fat and lazy.
Fat and lazy, and maybe not as young and strong anymore, in better shape.
Too much time.
And mess. It's messy.
Right.
Listen, dismemberment is not.
Too many patients driving around with body parts in the back of his car, you know. It's just like the other serial killer from Long Island who was arrested.
Look at Joel Rifkin. He was pulled over by a state trooper for having, I think, a tail light out or a headlight out, and he had an accident. And he had remains in the car. So, you know, Rex Heuerman knew about that and said to himself, I ain't getting stopped by a state trooper. I don't want to get caught. Carrie Chronicles says, does HK in his list stand for hunt and kill?
Could
very well be. Your guess is as good as ours. We don't know. It's just speculation. Virginia, thank you for very generously giving 5 memberships. Appreciate that. Anthony Rippo, thank you for the $2. Half Rudder, been here for so long, many, many years. Half Rudder, we appreciate you and respect you. You men are the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evie323 gifted 5 memberships. Much appreciated. And Wolf, thank you for the $20 super sticker. I think we went over this. How did they miss all those electronic devices on the first search? Interesting fact, Victoria is the same age as Baby Doe. Was Asa gone when Peaches and Baby Doe were killed, considering she was a newborn? I doubt it. You know, there's so much to this case, and there's so much that's being uncovered as we speak. Things will happen, and we'll have more information as time goes by. Let it be. Thank you for becoming a member. Snarky Grumpkins back at it again, throwing a purse at us. James Burke is trash. How did we not catch him? He shed like a dog and made checklists. Shaking my head. Yeah, Sour Girl, thank you for the super chat. Go fund those curtains.
Oh God.
Go fund the curtains. Lori Life 360 for the win, $5. It sounds like something Shannon might have experienced, the hunt through the marsh. Yeah. Shannon Gilbert. I mean, she's what's responsible for this investigation kicking off as well, with her calling 911 and so forth. Sharon, thank you for the super sticker. Shelly, thank you for your super chat. Love your show. Watching from start, 6 a.m. in Rye, Australia. Thank you for what you both do. Put another shrimp on the Barbie. I know you hate that, Ed. I'm just kidding. I just had to do it. Thank you, Shelly, for your support. Dr. James and his wife, nearly 2 years. Most credible on YouTube, DutyRon and Ed. Holy shiitake mushrooms. There's a lot of these, Ed, new members, people becoming members. Janelle Woodward, 18 months. I love DutyRon and Ed. Your show real care for people, and don't get caught up in the criticizing others, which happens so often elsewhere. And she knows because she goes around on the YouTube streets. So thank you for that, Janelle. We love and respect you. All right, hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Let's get to the questions, Ed. Thank you for becoming a new member, Kelly, Helen, Scottish Llama, super sticker. Could he have gotten some ideas from CSI at this time?
CSI, Forensic Files, back then, all that stuff was there, out on the television shows. And he got a lot of it from the books,
right?
The two books that are cited here.
Yeah. And it's a fact. It's stated in the writings and so forth, like, in the bail application. It states, we have the books here. Is there anything more to this, Ed, that we... Oh, notes, spur of the moment, cover, Stockholm Syndrome. This is where we hear the district attorney talk about that. The more you do, the more clues you give. Well, he didn't play by that rule. Look at the painting. What, why, who, organization versus disorganization. And then he cites these pages.
Right. The painting is the victim. Okay. So that's a quote coming out of the FBI Profiler's book. This other book, page 162, sex substitution. Those were the wood items and objects that were talked about earlier. Okay, that's what sex substitution means when you see it like that. Mutilation, all right, equals disorganized. So he was concerned about throwing off the police and making it seem like he was disorganized when he mutilated the victim.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Listen, we don't have all the answers because we're not doing the investigation. Like Jane asks here, why did he stop killing DutyRon? He may have been spooked. He may have...
Not sure that he'd stopped.
Yeah, we don't know that. Yeah.
He started charging up his burner phones again when they busted him. He and his wife and family were about to go out of town. I think he had already targeted somebody else, and he was going to kill them, so they moved in on him.
Yeah. Yep. Wireless Mike says, hashtag Ed, where else did he or his relatives have property? They'll know that because property is public record. So investigators know it, and trust me, they're going to be looking at all of his properties and anything that potentially could have happened there, and unsolved murders or remains or bodies that are recovered in places nearby where he's been, right, Ed? They got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of investigation to do as it pertains to cold cases, and they're outside of the box of that Gilgo 4 now. And District Attorney Tierney says we are looking at everything now. So this thing is expanded, and they'll be looking in Arizona. They'll be looking in Vegas. They'll be looking in South Carolina. They'll be looking wherever this man traveled and his family.
Right. He had property in New England too.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the chat for the questions. People are talking about CODIS. He wouldn't be in CODIS because he was not a criminal. He had no past criminal record. Correct, Ed?
Right. And he can't be in CODIS right now.
To be convicted.
They can search CODIS with his DNA. His DNA won't be a permanent fixture in CODIS until he gets convicted.
Page 162, sex substitution. Page 163.
Yeah, but it says here what the book is, doesn't it? Listed in here. I remember reading.
Douglas is a retired special agent profile from the FBI. Spent over 25 years in the behavioral analysis unit during his time.
Mindhunter.
Yeah, Mindhunter. Boom. There it is. All right. I'm trying to see about questions. Guys, if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We've grown quite a bit over the last 6 months. We appreciate the new subscribers, the folks who stick it out with us and stay here for our true crime from a police detective's perspective and a crime scene expert, CSI expert, Ed Wallace. You see anything, Ed? Because I'm just scanning the chat. I'm trying to get through everything. Super chat. Wonder if he studied the BTK killer. Sure. I'm sure he's looked at every possible avenue. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, Kelly.
Like our Idaho killer.
Yeah. Kohlberger.
Yep. I do see something.
Okay.
It's my bed and pillow. It's right there.
That's right. Yeah. Ed's he needs to get his 8 hours of beauty sleep to maintain hair number 46, which is out of place tonight. So
listen, yeah. I can lend you some. Don't be jealous. Right. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Ed, I want to thank you. I see how quickly I reel this right in. I don't engage in that.
Yeah.
I can't win. Folks that are looking at this case, they understand, and that's the reason I asked you to, come live with us today. And I know you wanted to do this, but folks have a great understanding and respect for science and investigative techniques. And that's why it was really great that you spent an hour and 20 minutes with us here going over this, because there's so many questions. We don't have all the answers, but we know this: the science doesn't lie, and DNA and evidence will always get you. They will always get you. And it's no different in this case. Ed?
That's right. One way or another, I'm going to get you.
Yeah, we're going to get you one way or another. But I say this.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Emily wants us, please come to CrimeCon next year. It's in Denver, Ed. I think that would be fun. What do you think?
Sure. I got family in Denver. Yeah, we can definitely do that. God willing, and no crazy ass assignments that keep me out of the country for several weeks.
Damn it, you with these things. Wireless mic sticking in. Don't panic. I like his screen, his picture there, profile picture. Hashtag Ed. Could he have started earlier on the road away from his home and then decided to do it closer to home when he got away with it out of state? Maybe he started earlier than the 90s. Look, he's 60 years old. He's my age, right? Ed,
61.
All right, so 61 now. So he's right around my age. Ed's, maybe a couple of years older than that. But
what? I'm 1 year older than you.
Yeah, so you're an old timer, Ed. So what we're saying is that in his earlier age, in his earlier days, I mean, we don't know when this started, but
we don't know what pushed him over the edge.
So how did he progress? Did this start with just dibbling and dabbling into the sex trade and hiring prostitutes to have sex with normally and not have this violent tendency, and he graduated to this? This is something for the profilers and people who investigate.
Was he torturing animals as a kid? Was he abused by his parents or his mother? I mean, was there a woman figure in his life that rejected him, and now he's seeking retribution?
He could have been born messed up. We don't know his
Yeah,
child.
sometimes the wires don't get attached. That's right.
Gina says 60 is the new 40. Thank you, Gina. I just turned 60 this year, so I appreciate that. Yeah, look, man, there's so many questions. Gadsden, look, here's my brother from another mother. There's a retired Irish detective. That's his other screen name, other account, Gadsden Freedom Outdoors, saying hello to everybody. Thank you for being here. Retired NYPD detective. Dennis, we appreciate you, brother. I work the trenches with him at PSA too. So he's always here. I appreciate you, Dennis. And I know you're enjoying the grandfather, new grandfather. He's got the new grandbaby, and he's just loving it, soaking it up. All right, listen, on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the replay viewers, the super chatters, the live viewers, the moderators, and everybody who buys us cups of coffee, who becomes members, who take a chance with us on Patreon. We really, really appreciate it. We don't take it for granted, and we're honored that you're here watching. And as I always like to say at the end of these things, God bless these victims and their families. We send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. I showed on the live stream for the live coverage on Thursday. I went all the way to the end to show the victims' families talking through Gloria Allred. I thought that was important to listen to them because they are the victims. They're still here and left to hear these horrible details of their loved ones and how they were tortured. So send them strength and prayers and positive vibes. And I will see you on the next one. Ed, I know you always have something to say at the end of these things.
Thanks, folks, for being here with us today and taking time out of your lives to share it with us. Thanks for your support. Thanks for spreading the word about Ron and I. We are at 330,000 subscribers and climbing. It's just tremendous. It's mind-boggling to me how we're still climbing like this. And I know you could get your true crime fix anywhere on the YouTube that you would like, but you share it with us. I appreciate that. Keep spreading the word and stay safe. Stay prepared and watch your six.
Peace and love from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We'll see you guys on the next one. Good night. Good day.